guest, a longtime boxing man in the United Kingdom, a guy when you say you've done it all, he's done it all. Fighter, manager, promoter, commentator. Did I leave anything else, Spencer Fearon?
Trainer.
So he's literally done it all. Now, one of the great commentators now for the MTK Global shows that can be seen live on ESPN Plus in the United States. Spencer, how you doing tonight?
Man, I'm all the better for speaking to you. You know, I haven't seen your face. Your face, what's that? Was it April 2008? Joe Kawasaki versus.
That's where we met, yeah.
Yeah, that was the time when. So, yeah, it's been a hot minute, bro. So, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you, too.
Well, and that you're still fighting a good fight for the game, you know?
Exactly. You too. In fact, what I remember, it was the Hopkins Calzaghe fight, and some of my people, they say, "Oh, yeah, we know him. He's the well-dressed British guy who knows everything that's going on." And by the way, with that bow tie though, you haven't lost anything in your dress game. So you're doing well with that.
Cool, man. It's still there. It's still alive, bro.
So let's get into it. I wanted to have you on, obviously, the big fight here in the United States this weekend, and we're going to get into a few other topics. Is Terence Crawford and Kell Brook, and who has got their hand on the pulse and what's going on in the British boxing scene than you? A lot of people think that this is just a formality for Terence Crawford. Does Kell Brook, from what you know what's going on with him in England and everything like this, does he have a shot to either A, win the fight or at least make this a competitive fight Saturday night?
He is going to make it competitive. If you looked at Terence Crawford's last fight, yeah, against
Kavaliauskas.
I wasn't good on the pronunciation. Was it the War Machine, the Mean Machine, whatever his
name
Machine,
yeah.
Kavaliauskas. Kavaliauskas had Terence Crawford over. Let's not forget that, right? It wasn't counted as a knockdown. He had Terence Crawford over in that fight, right? Also, Terence Crawford is a guy that relies on agility, right? But he's 32 years old now, 34, 33 years old now. So he's not a spring chicken himself. I don't think Terence Crawford is dealing with a fighter that is just turned up for a payday in Kell Brook. I really do believe that Kell Brook is going to come and give the best Kell Brook or the best account of Kell Brook. And I do my podcast with Babatunde Ajayi, the trainer of Anthony Yard, and we were speaking about we had Dominic Ingle on, the former trainer of Kell, and Dominic says Kell doesn't go into fights thinking that I'm just here for a payday. Every fight that he goes in there with a winning mentality, right? And go look on record. On record, Errol Spencer said that Kell Brook's the strongest person that he's ever been in the ring with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Go and ask Sean Porter, who's the strongest guy that he's been in. Even, and I'm gonna be real, I thought actually that Sean Porter won that fight when they fought, right? But go and ask him who's the strongest guy that he's been in with. He'll tell you again, it's Kell Brook. Kell Brook is a ridiculously strong human being and a very determined human being. And people seem to forget that a welterweight, a guy who's a 147 fighter, actually hurt a solidified, bona fide killer inside of Golovkin. He hurt Golovkin in that fight. No one can't tell me he didn't hurt Golovkin.
Absolutely.
Because he did. I was there ringside. He did hurt him. So we can't look at this as being a formality of a fight because Kell Brook knows that everyone thinks he's going to lose. But Kell Brook has that pig-headedness that in his mindset that he thinks he's actually going to win.
Well, the question I have, obviously, you just mentioned the age of Crawford being, I believe, 32 or 30. I think it's 32. Brook is 34, and in my opinion, and you can expound more on that, it's a hard 34 in the sense that he was in those brutal fights with Golovkin where he got banged around. The Errol Spence fight, he got banged around, and especially late in that fight. What do you think that's a factor?
100% it's a factor. It's a factor because those were hard fights. Those were zapping fights. And I think the biggest thing with Kell Brook has been struggling to make 147 for about over 10 years. So when we're hearing that, Kell Brook's down at the weight because he's got this new nutritionist in who's working with him, so he's cut the weight pretty cool. But it's whether, and there is no rehydration clause in this fight. So Kell Brook's gonna come into this fight pretty big. Kell Brook's gonna come into this fight like 168 maybe. He's gonna come in big, right? So that to me is a factor, but we can't turn a blind eye to the supreme skill that is possessed by Terence Crawford, because Terence Crawford is actually excellent. It's like Dave Caldwell, the trainer, used to train Kell back in the day, early on. So I think he had about 8 fights with Kell, and he was saying the best fighter that he's ever seen live is Terence Crawford. And this is a man that was in the corner for Ryan Rose, and Ryan Rose challenged Canelo for world title. He said, Spence, I'm telling you, the best person that I have seen live fight is Terence Crawford. That's some high praise. And he also worked in Ricky Burns' corner when Ricky Burns lost his world title to Terence Crawford. So you got to weigh up like that and know like what kind of skill level is possessed by Terence Crawford. It's a very, very high skill level. But we're thinking that fight, you know, the Indongo fight 3 years ago. Let's be real. 3 years. So we go through the list, we say, okay, then on the guys that you're fighting, Ricky Burns 6 years ago. Right? Yeah. And also I think the thing that's gonna make the major is like when he fights in his hometown, he's got all these people from Nebraska going crazy for him and stuff like that. Now you're going to be fighting with no crowd. That's going to suit Kell Brook more than it's going to suit the supposed pound-for-pound #1 fighter in the world.
Very good points there. An article came out this morning here in the United States on The Athletic. Mike Coppinger, I don't know if you had a chance to hear about Crawford not being too happy with the Top Rank these days because they have not been able to get him that significant fight. The fight against Spencer, Pacquiao, or Thurman, Sean Porter, some of the bigger names in the welterweight division. This story came out today, the eve of the fight. I don't know if it plays anything into the fight tomorrow night, but Terence Crawford's mindset, as a fighter now, did you feel that maybe he's overlooking Kell Brook a little bit because he's basically angling and really desiring these big fights with some of the bigger names in the welterweight division?
I hope he isn't. I can tell you that for free. I just hope I doubt, because let's be real, he has been a consummate professional right throughout his career, but he's a man that has got dog in him. A few months ago, I was speaking to Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur was saying people don't realize that Terence can really crack, right? Terence can really crack, and he's a special fighter. Listen to the high praise that Timothy Bradley, when he speaks about Terence Crawford. He's saying like, nah, the kid's he's a real deal. But you know what? He relies on reflexes, right? Not saying that he can't get down and dirty, because he proved that in the Delorme fight. He showed that he can get down and dirty. But what I am saying, and in the Benavidez fight as well, he showed us that he can get down and dirty. But what I am saying is, you are still getting a bit long in the tooth. And if anyone's going to have a last hurrah, or like when Custom Art used to say, like, every great fighter has one great fight left in him, then I hope that this is Kell Brook's last great fight. And we're going to see something, because if you think about Kell Brook's record and his resume, after beating Sean Porter, he was the numero uno welterweight in the world. He didn't capitalize on it, because then he had fights against also ran opponents. This is no disrespect to Frankie Gavin and those guys, but they were also ran fights. They weren't like, oh my God, he didn't get the big fight. He had to move up 2 weights to get a big fight. That's what he had to do. And that was only because of Chris Eubank Jr. Not taking a fight with Golovkin, because they was holding out for more money, thinking they were going to get more money. Right? And I remember that day I get a phone call from Eddie Hearn. And he said, nah, Spence, we've gone with Kell Brook. And I said, for real?
Yeah, well, I remember reading that press release the morning it came out. This has to be a mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, but
no, I'm just saying. So when we're looking at things like that, it's like Kell Brook owes us a big fight performance. Right? He owes us. He owes the fans, period. He owes us that. You know what I mean? He owes Dominic Ingle, who's not working with him, a big fight performance. He owes Eddie Hearn and Sky TV, who didn't buy the fight, by the way, but he owes them a big fight performance. For the mere fact that it's not being shown over there on UK TV, it's being shown on Premier Sports. You know what I mean? I have a very good link with Premier Sports because they were the first ones to televise me when we was promoting Hard Knocks, myself and Kieran.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a lot of love for them because they really did give me a good platform, right? So, but he owes everybody who doubts him a big performance, but more than anything, he owes himself because we know that Kell Brook has not been the most disciplined of human beings outside of the ring. But for this, the way that he's cut the weight, the way that he's looked, he looks in peak, tip-top condition. And I just pray that he comes out and gives us a really good performance, irrespective of the outcome, but goes out there and gives us a really good performance.
It sounds like, just reading between what you're saying, you think, it's going to be a good fight. You see Crawford winning in a good fight. Is that fair to say, Spencer?
I do, but I was speaking to some of the guys from, Black Fight fan from what's that, the Lions Den boxing community, and like he's big on Kell Brook. I got an interview with Kell Brook, and he's big on Kell Brook causing the upset, and he was telling me all of the intangibles, and then like he said, something's going on, Spence. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you know what, we've heard that, Terence Crawford's looked not happy. It was Coppinger, Mike Coppinger, that came out with a story.
It came out today, yeah.
That he's not happy, that, so all of these kind of things, I'm saying, like, you know what, something could be going on there, because, like, Kell Brook is like, what is he? Was it 10-1 for?
It's in that range, yeah.
Right. That's kind of crazy. So when I'm looking at that now, I'm saying, boy, maybe someone knows something that we don't know. Maybe, I don't know. So according to Spencer Fearon, expect at least a very good performance from Kell Brook tomorrow. You may not win, but you expect him to put on a championship-like performance then. Right, yeah, I do. And the thing about it is this. Even though I don't think that Kell Brook's going to win, right? I want him to win, but I want to put in that kind of performance. But you know what? This is boxing. Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. But, the last time a brick welterweight had a massive shock against the current welterweight and a pound-for-pound king at the time was when Lloyd Hannigan came over in September 86 and destroyed Donald Curry, right? Mm-hmm. So let's see if Terence Crawford's made the weight properly. Let's see how Terence Crawford is in this fight. But one thing I do know is that Kell Brook will be coming with those chocolate brownies.
This is why we have on. You got all the inside knowledge of what's going on. You got the history and everything. I want to talk to you a little bit about, obviously, the British boxing scene. I think it's, especially now in America with the Zone and ESPN Plus broadcasting not only your fights with MTK, but all the Frank Warren fights going on. A lot of these fighters now, you guys like Callum Smith and some other guys, and we'll go over some of these other, some of these other fighters. These guys now are real household names to American boxing fans. Where in past years they were only kind of like myths. We read about them in magazines, maybe we see them on YouTube, but now some of these guys we know are real legitimate fighters. Yeah,
that can only be a good thing. If we look at the British boxing scene now, the two major flag bearers are Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. But if we go underneath that, there are still Josh Warrington should be more celebrated than what he is. The guy's a world champ. He's a persistent, consistent world champ. Got really good wins over Lee Selby, Carl Frampton. You can never knock that. That is something special. So when we look at someone like him, and I got to give a shout out to his dad. His dad's good people. When we was at the show the other day, he was the one that dropped us back to the hotel. So, like, Josh Warrington's good people. And he's an honest pro. When I mean like honest pro, Here's a man that wasn't regarded as a big puncher. Here's a man that every fight was a hard fight because he had to go points. So you're gonna fight him, you had to be fit. And now he's kind of coming into his own because he's whacking out guys now. So yeah, Josh Warren's another guy that we don't really speak about that much. The person who I get riled with the most, I've known him since he's been a little kid, is Billy Joe Saunders, because the lack of inactivity for somebody who has supreme skill of what he possesses. Billy Joe is something very, very special. I'm trying to tell you this now. I'd like to see Billy Joe get a big fight. Right, he's got his next fight up is against Martin Murray. No disrespect to Martin Murray. Martin Murray is a guy that always comes to bring it, always is in condition. But Martin Murray's not in love with it.
Always comes up a little short, just for whatever reasons. Always.
That's the thing. And but the thing about it is this: Billy Joe Saunders cannot afford to have a bad performance in that fight, because there's still the potentiality of a fight against Canelo, because everyone's looking at the Canelo fight. So Billy Joe's got to go and do his stuff. But I like both guys. I know Mike Murray a long time. He's always a good guy.
You mentioned Canelo. Let me ask you a little bit about that. Obviously, a couple of weeks ago, he was able to get out of his contract with Golden Boy in the zone. And you've been on both sides of it. You've been a fighter, and you've been a promoter and manager, and you've, like you said, done everything in the sport. What were your thoughts on that, about him getting out of his deal with Golden Boy in the zone?
Yeah, but the thing about it is this: it's like, this was nothing new. Somebody remotely not interested in boxing would have known something like this was going to happen, because they've been going back and forth for ages on social media, right? So you got to know something wasn't right. And also, it's like, when you're at a pup going up through the ranks, you can hold your own. Until you reach a certain stage in your career where you're thinking, bro, I don't need no one. I can do this myself. And let's be real. Canelo, we got 130 million Mexicans in the world, right? That's a lot of Mexicans. 1 in 3 watches Canelo when he fights, right? 1 in 3. So that's like, what's that? 40 million Mexicans watch this guy fight?
45 million by my American math.
Right, that's a lot of people, bro.
Yeah.
So does he need Oscar De La Hoya? No, he doesn't. You know what I mean? He needs himself, and you know who's gonna follow suit as well. I guarantee you that Ryan Garcia is gonna jump boat as well.
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about being that they're in the same camp, same managers.
Listen, I know fighters know. When fighters are in a change room or you're working together and all the rest of it, that's where the real gossip goes at. You say, nah, man, you know what I mean? He'd be like, man, to hell with Oscar, like F Oscar. And I'm telling you, I bet you he goes next.
Next year, you mentioned Tyson Fury. Look, I don't know if he's going to fight December 5th. We're only a couple of weeks away, and they haven't even officially announced the fight. I guess maybe they really don't even have to, because they're not like they're selling tickets to it or anything like that. But it seems he could be on a collision course with Anthony Joshua. What is going to happen in that, if that fight, if and when that fight gets announced, press conferences, and the fight happens? England's gonna be a crazy place, isn't it?
It would be, but I don't even think that fight would happen in England. I think it happened in Saudi Arabia. That's what I believe, right? It was muted at the fight as the deal was being signed already. If you remember a few months ago,
yep.
That I think, what was it like?
They agreed to all the financial stuff, and they were ironing out all the details.
Yeah. So all those two guys got to do is just keep on winning and then fight each other.
So you believe that fight's going to go? I mean, let me ask you, because I know you. Like I said, you're finger on the pulse of everything. Is there something that you may or may not have heard about the Saudi Arabia?
The fight's going to happen. Definitely, it's going to happen.
But I mean, Saudi Arabia.
Joshua gets past Pulev, or somewhere in the Middle East anyway. Joshua gets past Pulev, which I believe that he will do, right? And Tyson Fury gets past. Was it Cabell, the former
AJ Cabell, yes.
Yeah, Cabell, the former European champion, who's got very good movement. I saw when he beat Derek Chisora. He's got very, very good foot movement. But, that won't be nothing for Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury can handle any style. He's a multifaceted performer. If you look at Tyson Fury, so it'd be interesting to see who he gets to fight. But, Caballero was the name that's being mooted around. So we'll see what happens there.
You mentioned Ryan Garcia a few minutes ago. Your countryman, Luke Campbell, that fight was supposed to happen in a couple weeks. It could be pushed back only a couple other weeks. Does Luke have a shot in that fight, in your opinion?
Of course he does. Listen to me. There's a lot of hype about this kid, right? I still see drastic mistakes in what he does when he's fighting. You know what I mean? He lets off his hands. He's very open to, he's susceptible to left hooks. Luke Campbell was a very, very, I remember covering his fight when he boxed John Nevin for the bantamweight gold medal final in 2012 Olympics. I covered that fight for BBC Sports. So you watch, Luke Campbell's a very, very good fighter, right? Sometimes his mind is not being in tune, but I think and also I thought that he gave Lomachenko an incredible run, and the scorecards were not as wide as the judges put it out, to tell you the honest truth. So I think he's got a hell of a chance against Ryan Garcia, because Ryan Garcia ain't fought nobody. Here's a man, Luke Campbell. He's been in there. He's been. Now he's lost against Mendy. Ryan, he's been in proper fights. He put a hell of a performance when he fought Jorge Linares. He left that ring thinking that he won that fight. I remember
he fought very well against Lomachenko.
Still took the fight, and it's sad because Jorge Linares don't get the respect they should be getting, because Jorge Linares is an excellent fighter. I remember when it was mooted that Ryan Garcia was meant to fight Jorge Linares, and in my head I was thinking, are they crazy to put him in with Linares? Are they mad? So I do think Garcia is a good fighter, but he just ain't fought no one. So how can we gauge what he's done from what he hasn't done?
Let's stick with the lightweight division here in the United States. About a month ago, Teofimo Lopez defeated Vasily Lomachenko to basically become the undisputed lightweight champion of the world. Star-making performance, and obviously this is a sport where we need stars. He's got a great personality, him and his dad. What are your thoughts on Teofimo?
Good fighter, very good fighter. I mean, very, very good fighter. Very brave, very confident fighter. Especially the fact, and he believes in it. He believes in himself and his ability. For the mere fact that he could go out there and stamp the authority like that on Lomachenko in the way that he did, we got to get that kid all the credit in the world. And on top of that, he did everything that he was going to say he's going to do. So props to him and his dad. You know what I mean? And Joey Gamache as well. Props to those guys, man.
So you see him, obviously, you mentioned Garcia's got some flaws. Luke Campbell, is from just reading between you're saying, is extremely live in that fight. Devin Haney just came off his fight last week with Gamboa, a fight that not many of the critics really enjoyed from Haney, that he let Gamboa kind of hang around and go 12 rounds. What are your thoughts of Devin Haney?
Devin Haney?
Yeah.
How old was Devin Haney? 21 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Turned pro, 15, 16?
I think 16 or 17 in Mexico.
Right, yeah, right. Mm. How can we say he turned pro 2015? So, so he must have been, he's 16 years old. How can we knock a man for doing what he's done, even though he's been given an alphabet title, because we know at the time there Lomachenko was elevated to franchise champion. So I'm not even knocking that. Whatever. That doesn't matter. Right? From sound people who I know around him, he actually went into that fight injured. I'll not make excuse for Devin Haney. It's just very, very difficult to get overexcited over his performance when we saw what Tank did to Leo Santa Cruz and what Teofimo just did to Lomachenko. So if you measure it like that, then we can't get really hyped over it. We can't say, oh my God, no. If it was if there was no pandemic, if there was crowds in the arena and stuff like that, they would have said, yeah, you want to shout out, and we wouldn't be as critical as we are today. But it's because we're assessing his performance compared to and in conjunction with the two fights that happened previous to his fight. So if we judge it by that, then it wasn't a good performance. But if we judge it by here was a kid that defended his world title, he's only 21 years old, then it was a sound performance, and he can build from that. So that's how I got to take it.
If you were to put stock in one of those young fighters, who are we talking about most between Haney, Garcia, and Teofimo in the next 4 or 5 years?
The name that you missed out.
Uh-oh.
And the name that you missed out is Stevenson. I think that Stevenson's going to be the guy that we're going.
Yeah, well, he said 130. Maybe I should have included him.
I know, but he's gonna move up. I think he's the guy.
35 and probably 40, maybe max out of 47.
I think he's the guy that we're going to be talking about. But you know what? I have to give props to the way that Tank boxed the other day, because he got down to 130. I got to give more credit.
And I forgot Davis in that. How can I forget that?
Davis is. I was very, very impressed with him, because I think like discipline has been a key factor for that young man. But he showed us discipline. For the mere fact that he could get down to 130, and how that knockout was horrid. It was a horrid knockout. So I think Haney's in it. Davis is in it as well. And you never, you know what, you don't know, because it's a kind of pick 'em. But for right now, for the performance and the self-belief that the guy possessed, Teofimo Lopez has got to be the major one, because he actually beat a pound for pound alleged pound for pound number one. Well,
I mean, just by talking about these guys, and they're all still so young, 21, 22, 23 years old. Seems like the sport, at least in America, around the 30, 135, 40, 47, some of the more glamour divisions, it's in good shape for the next couple of years if these guys, especially if these guys start fighting each other.
Of course, listen, it's excellent. It would be crazy not to think that it's not excellent. It's absolutely excellent right now. And it's bringing back like the old days where like we got more world champions, but it's like now the guys can fight each other. So it's a great time.
Let's get back to some of the things that you're doing. Obviously, now you're commentating over with MTK Global, just a tremendous organization who's signing so many great fighters. They just signed even Virgil Ortiz here the other day. In America, they're starting to, sign some good American talent as well. To talk about that, and what you're doing with them. Obviously, these shows here are being streamed live in the United States, and it's good exposure even for the fighters that fought on the card the other day. Maybe not big names in the United States, but the platform that they're getting on ESPN Plus here really starts to build their name.
It does, and it's a very good tie-up for MTK to be working in conjunction with Top Rank and ESPN Plus. And it was very. I was very fortunate to get the call up, and they said, like, Spence, we'd like you to come on board and do round by round analytical work for us. And I was like very, very happy to go and do so, especially like after my contract not being renewed with Sky. And I remember Johnny Nelson, a former WBO cruiserweight champion, who held the title for 7.5 years, right? It's Britain's second longest reigning world champion. Johnny was saying, Spence, get picked up. Don't worry about that, because you know too much about the game. You know what I mean? You're going to get picked up. And I was just cool, because with MTK Global, I actually run their foundation, which is their charity arm. So I've been doing that for like 2-3 years, like helping communities, helping people with ailments and physical disabilities and stuff like that. So I've been doing that. We raise money for them, and we help out kids in the community and stuff like that, right? So I've been doing that for a hot minute, but everybody knows the charity stuff. Which, if you know me, you know I love the charity stuff, but I'm a boxing person through and through. Mm-hmm. And where boxing is so fragmented now and all the rest of it, I mean, managing or promoting or training guys is very, very hard. But you know what? To be ahead of a foundation and running that is way, way harder. I guarantee. I tell you that now for the other occupations before. So that, but now to go back and start calling fights, it's brought back my passion on another level, because not only that, but I'm doing it for MTK Global, that has helped people that I know or who I've referred to. I've referred certain people over, and they've gone and helped. They've helped so many ex-fighters that I know prior to me joining them, who've been feeling hard times, and certain fighters who couldn't pay their mortgage and they paid off their mortgage for them, or all these kind of things, or save people from losing their houses. People end up in hospital. Ex-fighters end up in hospital who haven't got any money, but they will come and write out checks for them. So when you know all these kind of things, now that I'm calling the fights for them, it's like every time that I have, yesterday was like, since they gave my contract 2 days ago, my third time being on ESPN Plus and for MTK Global. So there's more of a sense of what's the word? Allegiance, because they do treat me like family. So because of that, you go that extra mile for them, because they have gone the extra mile for me, or also not just for me, but for people who know me. So because of that, you just want to give out your best when you're on there. That's why straight away we said, I'm watching right now. And what I said, well, how am I doing? Because I want the best me to come out, and I value your opinion, Mark. I do. I value it.
I appreciate that. Obviously, just talking to you over the years, I know, what I said at the beginning, you really have your finger on the pulse, not only in England, but like I said, one thing that struck me when we were in Vegas, I remember this like it was yesterday. You asked me if I wanted to go to the barber shop with you while we're at the hotel. I'm saying to myself, why do you want to go to the barber shop? And you told me that's where you find out a lot of the information is at the barber shop, if you recall that.
You,
What?
The barber shop, globally for black people, the barber shop is the place. And if you could, and if it's a good barber shop, because you got the barbers. If the barber's got a good haircut, then you're gonna be safe.
It's almost like the scene in Coming to America with Eddie Murphy when they're arguing about Joe Louis and Rocky Marciano in there. So after I saw that movie, I got it. I understood what you meant when you were telling me that. I know it's a weird fact, but I got a weird memory like that for some reason. So, well, anything else? You work with MTK Global. We're talking about so many good fighters. Is there a fighter or two that's under the radar that they are working with that maybe you're going to tell me in 2 years, watch out for this kid?
There's quite a few. There's quite a few kids who they got. There's quite a few, but the kid that really impressed me is the kid that boxed the other day. Paddy Donovan.
Yes. Who's with Top Rank as well.
That kid, 21 years old, you know what I mean? Watching a lot of Hector Camacho, watching a lot of Pernell Whitaker. That kid is going to do things. Remember, I'm telling you.
So that's the great thing about this. This video will stay on forever. So when it does, we'll just pull it right back up and you could say, I told you so on November 13, 2020 at 3:40 p.m. in the United States.
That kid's going to do something, man. Good fire.
So that's the guy to keep your eye on.
Yeah. All right. There's another kid who boxed on the show the other day, Edmondson. I was pretty impressed with him. Billy Joe Saunders manages him. I was pretty impressed with that Edmondson kid as well. Was he Liam Edmondson? I like the look of him.
So I guess we'll leave it at there. I'm going to have you on from time to time. I'm going to be doing some roundtable conversations. Bring on 3-4 reporters, get you involved with it, so we can, maybe get your point of view, and obviously, get your thing.
You know that.
What's that?
My winning point is to speak about history, right? That is what I love doing. I like regurgitating old legends so they don't die.
Well, you already dropped Lloyd Hunnigan in this conversation, so that there's nothing wrong with that.
Recent. That's not old. Recent.
Well, 86. It's 34 years ago.
That's last week, bro.
Well, we'll get you on from time to time. Where do we find you on social media? If any of the fans want to drop you a line.
Yeah, you want to talk to me? It's quite simple. You get me on. You can get me on Instagram. It's master_knowledge. It's Spencer Fearon on Twitter, Spencer Fearon on Facebook, and I'm very, very interactive. I interact with anybody, so I'll speak to anyone. So if you're speaking boxing, even more so, because we do really good debates, and you can get me weekly on the Fight Is Right podcast, myself and Babatunde Ajayi, and yeah, so that's what we do, man. So it's a blessing. And it's even more of a blessing to speak to my old pal Mark. You know what I mean? Because people don't know how far like me, this guy go back. He's a good guy, honest guy. And it's like he's got the Blue Horizon in Philadelphia, and we got York, Bethnal Green in London. So what I'm trying to say is like we got to make a merge between the two, and I think we've just done that today.
Well, the Blue Horizon is since
Abrams Boxing.
Abrams Boxing. The Blue Horizon has since gone out of business, and it's a shame what's happened to the building. It's like rat infested. It's just been sitting there for about 10 years now. So. Not a good thing, but we'll get more into that. Spencer, thank you for a few minutes. So one last question: you can be up at 5 o'clock in the morning on Sunday watching the fight?
Yes, I am.
There's a trooper. See, we're lucky when we have your British fights on. They're on at 2, 3 in the afternoon. It's great. So you went up to stay up, and then you guys have to get up till.
I'm just glad that the fights are on. So
yeah, I hear you. One more thing. We'll let you go. You start. The broadcasts are in these empty studios. What are your thoughts on it?
You know what? I'm kind of. I don't mind it for myself. I don't mind it, because I can get to. What happens is this: is like when you have a popular name, like you go to the fights and everyone wants to talk to you and wants to take selfies. I'm not knocking that. I'm really grateful that people do want to take selfies with you and stuff, right? But sometimes you don't really get to see the fight, so then everybody wants to pick your brains, and then someone wants to challenge you. I think I've got more knowledge than you. I get all this all the time, right?
Yeah.
Now that we haven't got that, I can actually concentrate on the fights. And plus, because I'm going there on a working capacity, more so, I'm even more so focused on the fights that are at hand. So I'm not really taken aback. I can actually concentrate on the fights. And plus, it means a hell of a lot to me that, 7 million people got the ESPN Plus.
Actually, something just came out yesterday where it's like 10 million.
Listen, 10 million have got, right. So even off of the back of that, even if like 1%, right? Even if it's 1%, that 100,000 people, right? And I know by the numbers that they had on YouTube, because they're doing it in conjunction with IFL, I think that was on 170,000 that were watching. So, and because I know in America we got loads more states. You got states out there, and it goes out across whole of America. So I think the numbers will be pretty high because people just want to watch boxing and coming on early as well. So you just jump on your app. So I'm really, really grateful to be on that platform, because you got some really good guys there, like guys like Timothy Bradley, like Andre Ward. One of the greatest ever. Timothy Bradley, one of the toughest men ever to go and do it. I remember being ringside for his fight. I actually sat with Timothy Bradley's mother when he beat Junior Welter to become world champion. So, like I said, what was that 2009? Right. So
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, 2009. So, like I said, so to be on a platform that has these great men speaking about boxing, right? I know I couldn't fight as good as those guys, but I know that I can out-talk them.
Well, there we go. Spencer Fearon, thank you for we almost did about 40 minutes here of your time. Now it's a Friday night when you get back to your family, and enjoy your night, enjoy your weekend, and set the alarm clock for Sunday morning about 3-4 a.m. and
I'm up at that time anyway, so don't worry about it.
Well, you're a better man. Actually, I'm going to sleep at that time, so. Okay. Have a good day or good night for you, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me on the show, man.
Thank you.
Don't stop always tuning to Abraham Boxing.
There you go. I should hire you to do my commercials now too. So
yeah, for real. I don't think you can afford me, but ESPN.
Yeah. I know the meter's running on this interview, so I'll talk to you soon.
All right, Robert. Take care. God bless.